Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, guten Tag. My name is Andrew, and this is this is Afternoon Idol. I guess there's no the. This is a little bit of an experiment that we've been doing in November, and there have already been a few questions and requests about if it will continue into December, and I'm kind of leaning in that direction, and I'll explain why. So who am I? I'm a licensed or not licensed. Yeah, I'm not. I'm a certified level 2 mindfulness meditation coach in the Unified Mindfulness System, which I'll often use to refer to that for short. You can find out more about Unified Mindfulness at unifiedmindfulness.com. I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a mental health professional. I'm not a social worker. I'm not any of those things. But what I am today is super annoyed with my normal day job. Monday, I have a bit of a case of the Mondays. And so it's helpful for me to take this step away to kind of level set, because the things I'm annoyed about really aren't a big deal. They're just nagging. And then so I have as they would say in Office Space, a case of the Mondays. So what I'm going to look at introducing today is a concept that Shinzen Young includes in his practice and is included in the Unified Mindfulness System, which is in essence a product of Juliana Ray and others trying to capture Shinzen's overall system. And the concept is an acronym. You'll see, in essence, in the Buddhist times, they like to have lists, the 3 poisons, the 4 noble truths, etc. And at least in our sort of modern context, we like to use acronyms. So many of you probably know RAIN. Roshi Joan Halifax and collaborators have done stuff with acronyms like GRACE and ABIDE. So it's a popular approach to trying to capture some sort of mnemonic that will stick and be helpful for you when you're needing to meet whatever sensory experience is kind of coming up. So Shinzen's way of putting this together in a pithy acronym is ION, I-O-N. And so that's a way for you to meet kind of what's coming up for you within a sit. And the acronym stands for interest, opportunity, and necessity. And so it's a robust way of considering the things that might come up. And this week we'll try to do a bit more bare bones, or what I like to call econo sits, where there's just a little bit of a technique around it. But what we'll do today is consider the situations or that can be alive for you, and offer up ION as a way for you to have a bit of a choose your own adventure sit. So the I in ION would be something that is arisen from a sensory experience perspective that is interesting. So maybe there's rest, or maybe you've noticed something that was some sensory activity that was there and then gone. We played around with auditory gone and hear gone last week. Or from an opportunity perspective, that might be that you've just done yoga, or you've been in the hot tub and you're feeling very settled, and as a result of that settledness you have less activation, so less hear in, less see in, so less mental talk and mental imagery. Or the opportunity might be that you're able to sort of background equanimize, so applying equanimity in a way that allows things to fade into the background, and that creates an opportunity for you to have a really pleasant or tranquil sit. And then the N is necessity. So you may be in a situation where your knee really hurts, and you've decided you're not going to move. That may not be the most kind thing to do to your body. It probably is good to just move. But you may also, from an N necessity perspective, find yourself in sort of a situation like I am, where I'm making a big deal out of something that's not a big deal. And I could very easily turn this into a tailspin of a day. I've got a very good track record doing that. But in essence, I can do a meditation as my own sort of self intervention in a day, so that I'll chill the hell out and stop being such a pain in the ass. And so that's a bit of how I look at this ion. Like it's a full spectrum. So like really cool things, the interesting stuff, situations that present themselves. We can also, in Shinzen's words, refer to those as windows. That's a window of opportunity. And then out of necessity, there's just something's up and we're trying to do something. Sleepiness or combating sleepiness is often one of these things that potentially out of necessity you look at finding ways of handling that. So if you're tuning into this, there was a sleepiness episode in for the Do Nothing Project just last Sunday, led by Sarah Barmack, who was guest hosting. So sleepiness is a very common example of what comes up from a necessity perspective. So what we'll do is we'll use Ion today to just lightly consider what we might want to apply for the something part of our sit together, the do something, and look at really just sort of tuning that to like the minimum that we have for a technique. And then about midway through, we'll drop that and we'll move into the technique of no technique. We'll do nothing. So that's where we're headed. Thank you again for joining me. Got a few extra people today. So as we do, let's go ahead and settle in. We want to adopt a posture that will help us to facilitate being both relaxed and alert. We want the relaxed, settling quality to bring us into a state where we're sort of less amped up. But we need the alertness to help us remain in contact with our sensory experience and to avoid getting dull or drifting off to sleep. So it's this seemingly contradictory state of being both relaxed and alert, and that is the basic meditative state. So to do that, we sit with an upright spine, dignified. Optimally, we're stacking our shoulders over our hips, arranging the feet in a way that are where they're not they're comfortable. There's no pain. The hands in a way that is pleasant and less likely to make you fidget. So perhaps placing the hands palms down on the thighs. That posture is referred to as resting the mind. And the uprightness of the spine is a way for us to cue to the nervous system that we're looking to be or to remain alert. And seeing, in essence, how the body is at this moment, just sort of checking in, looking for tension. The forehead is tense, maybe seeing if noticing that will relax it. Often the jaw is where tension is held for folks, maybe the neck or the shoulders. You can feel free to bring your shoulders up and tense them and then relax, drop them. And then just making sure that you can breathe from the belly so the belly is free. And then borrowing a bit of the sage wisdom of those wise folks from Brooklyn, the Beastie Boys, doing a bit of breathing slow and low. That's what we're looking for, the tempo. Breathing in through the nose helps us slow down the breath, brings us in a situation where we can more deeply fill the lungs, low. And by breathing slower, we breathe lower. And if you're in a situation out of necessity like I am, where I'm a little upregulated, I can accentuate the exhale as a way to get in the settling motion that helps me downregulate. In nerdy science terms, we can say that accentuating the exhale allows us to disengage the vagal brake and brings the parasympathetic system online. And so if we're used to a real bare bones or econo technique, just lightly being aware of the breath or the outline of the body, that might help us with the eye interest. And sometimes if we notice around a sensation, we might pick up a bit of a restful or tranquil state. That's a bit of the thing we can consider as an opportunity. So as we feel around the breath, maybe the sides of the ribs, subtle shift in the back, there's an opportunity for us to see if pleasant, restful sensations are available. And then, out of necessity, we may find that closing the eyes might lead to more sort of inner activation. And by opening the eyes half-mast, taking in the outside world, we begin to notice a subsiding in mental talk and mental image. And finally, two more options just to lightly be aware of. Can use the overall of the body sitting in the posture, or the sounds around you. Again, just lightly noticing. So experiment with what's alive for you right now. So you might experiment with seeing if you can just back off a little bit from the noticing of whatever your object is. Seeing if you can just lightly be aware of it. And just to experiment a little more, can we be even more lightly aware? So backing off a little more from whatever we've chosen to focus on. What's the minimum amount to remain in contact? So your choice. You can stay right here, or you can go ahead and drop the technique altogether, using no way as way, using no technique as technique, just this, do nothing. When we shift to do nothing, if you feel scattered or racy or speedy, you can always go back to the something we were experimenting with. Go back to just feeling the outline of the body or sounds around you. You can always go back and tune back into that object. Gently reconnect to your surroundings. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for idling here a bit with me today. I appreciate that. So I would say that these sits sometimes will calm me down so much that there's a part of my ego that's mad that like it works this good. So you can tell that there's a part of me that wants to perpetuate that sort of ill will. So when I get a chance to do a sit and then settle, I start to like kind of feel that. And sometimes I'll have this little bit of an aftertaste where it's like, oh, I'm annoyed that it works this well. Of course, not always available or that's not the case for everybody, but I figure I'd offer that because I know I know I don't hear teachers talk about that, and some of the coaches will sometimes bring that up. So just something to mention. Thank you again for stepping away for the last 20 plus minutes. We'll wrap up here really quick so I don't so you can get to whatever you need to get to at the bottom of the hour. We'll have same time, and then this week will be really light guidance. So all in the vein of this kind of like just a thin bit of enough to be a technique, or as I've been using the term econo. So yeah, so Jill, yeah, so I figured I'd share that because there's a it may not be something everybody experiences. So yeah, so just a recap. So ion is interest for the I. The O is opportunity, and then the N is necessity. And so, so there's something that you'll see Shinzen talk about and write about. I think it's in his 5 Ways to Know Yourself PDF that you can find out there on his website. I know that it does get included in the Core Techniques video series that's available on unifiedmindfulness.com, which is available for free. Juliana Ray does a video and talks a bit about it. And then Ion, I at least include it whenever I do the 8-week course for Unified Mindfulness. But I personally found Ion useful when I would do my retreats with Shinzen in 2012 and 2013. So those were my first long retreats, and they were very challenging. So Ion was something that I leaned on significantly because here you are, you're in a Zendo, and you don't want to get up and leave, but every sort of cell in your body wants to run from the building, especially in like the first 2-3 days. And then finally after the third day, you sort of settle in, or like the body kind of like realizes that you're going to keep doing this. You're going to keep sitting here. So Ion is a big thing for me. So, and I would say that my Zen practice is sort of the culture that I find appealing for my meditation practice, but the exoskeleton or the scaffold is put together for how I do what I do, the concentration, clarity, and equanimity through the Unified Mindfulness System. So cool. Well, thank you so much, and I will let all of you head out for the rest of your day, and I hope you have a fantastic day.